Donald Trump has a long list of enemies: Iran, Democrats, the far-left radicals known as the Catholic Church. But there's only one opponent that Trump hates so much that when he goes after them, he actually becomes them.
You know, the windmills, boom, boom, boom.
Desi Lydic recently appeared on The Daily Show and surprised viewers with her focus. Instead of talking about tariffs, the economy, rallies, or executive orders, she highlighted a long-running topic often linked to Donald Trump's comments over the years: windmills. She examined this issue in a humorous way on national television, pointing out how it has been repeatedly discussed. Her segment kept attention on this unusual talking point rather than broader political debates.
Windmills, wind.
That's right. Whether it's a person from another country or an inanimate object, Trump will do the accent.
Instead of focusing on new scandals or breaking news, the segment highlighted a long-running topic often mentioned over the years. It referred to a personal issue that has followed political discussions for a long time, especially around wind turbines. Desi Lydic spoke directly to the camera with a calm expression and suggested taking a closer look at the subject in a more serious way.
We will not allow a windmill to be built in the United States. They're killing us. They're killing the beauty of our scenery, our valleys, our beautiful plains. And I'm not talking about airplanes. I'm talking about beautiful plains, beautiful areas in the United States. And you look up and you see windmills all over the place. It's a horrible thing.
The story begins in Scotland, not in Washington or at political events. Back in 2006, Donald Trump purchased the Meany estate near Aberdeen, about 8 miles from the city. He planned to build what he called a world-class golf course and spoke with great excitement about the land and its natural beauty. Around the same time, the Scottish government approved a nearby offshore wind project, located about 1.5 miles out at sea, which could be seen from the course. This situation created disagreement, as the view from the golf course became part of the discussion. What started as a development plan slowly turned into a public debate centered on the landscape and how both projects would exist side by side in the same area.
Wind turbines made in China are going to be the destruction and almost a total destruction of your tourism industry. He did want me to come to Scotland. He did want me to spend, as I said, tens of millions of pounds. And he did think that was an asset. And it is an asset. I've created an absolute jewel.
Donald Trump did not only express concern, he also took formal steps to oppose the plan. In 2012, he sent an official letter to Scottish First Minister Alex Salmond. In it, he strongly criticized the offshore wind turbines, saying they would cause major harm to Scotland's natural beauty and reputation. He even compared the project to some of the country's worst historical events, showing how seriously he viewed the issue. Later, he appeared before the Scottish Parliament and spoke directly to lawmakers about renewable energy projects. He shared his views on wind turbines and their impact on the landscape near his golf course. Despite his efforts, legal decisions in 2015 supported the construction. The wind farm was eventually completed, and the turbines were built along the coast, visible from the property. Since then, the topic has remained a point of discussion connected to the area and his development plans.
Hillary wanted to put up wind. If you have a windmill anywhere near your house, congratulations. Your house just went down 75% in value. And they say the noise causes cancer. You told me that one, okay? You know, the thing makes it so... And of course, it's like a graveyard for birds. If you love birds, you'd never want to walk under a wind.
This part of the story shows how a personal disagreement around a golf course slowly turned into a wider political talking point. Over time, it moved from a local issue in Scotland to something discussed in political speeches and public events. By 2019, while serving as president, Donald Trump mentioned the topic at a Republican fundraiser. During his remarks, he repeated a claim about wind turbines affecting health, presenting it in a confident way to the audience. The statement spread quickly, even though it was questioned by many experts. Fact-checkers and scientists responded soon after, clarifying that there was no solid evidence supporting such claims. Health organizations also addressed the issue to correct the information. Despite the attention, the discussion continued in public debates, showing how quickly statements made in speeches can spread and be reviewed by experts.
An economy based on wind. I never understood wind, and I know windmills very much. I've studied it better than anybody. I know it's very expensive. They're made in China and Germany mostly. Very few made here, almost none. But they're manufactured tremendous, if you're into this, tremendous fumes, gases are spewing into the atmosphere. You know, we have a world, right? So the world is tiny compared to the universe. So tremendous amount of fumes and everything. You talk about the carbon footprint. Fumes are spewing into the air, right? Spewing. Whether it's in China, Germany, it's going into the air, it's our air, their air, everything.
At rallies, Donald Trump often spoke strongly about wind turbines, going beyond policy discussions and expressing clear dislike for them. He used dramatic language, gestures, and even acted out points while speaking to audiences. Over time, the list of concerns he mentioned around wind energy kept expanding. At first, he talked about property values and how they might be affected. Later, he brought up wildlife, especially birds, and often referred to the idea of birds being harmed near turbines. Journalists began tracking how often he repeated this claim. In 2023, he added another point, saying offshore wind projects could disturb whales, which drew attention from many observers. Then, in early 2026 at the World Economic Forum in Davos, he made a different claim about China and windmill production, suggesting they manufacture turbines but do not use them. He presented this idea as if it were a hidden fact being revealed to a global audience.
I've noticed is that the more windmills a country has, the more money that country loses and the worse that country is doing. China makes almost all of the windmills, and yet I haven't been able to find any wind farms in China. Did you ever think of that? It's a good way of looking at it. They're smart. China's very smart. They make them, they sell them for a fortune. They sell them to the stupid people that buy them, but they don't use them themselves. They put up a couple of big wind farms, but they don't use them. They just put them up to show people what they could look like. They don't spin, they don't do anything. They use a thing called coal, mostly.
However, there is a clear issue with that claim. China is actually one of the biggest users of wind energy in the world, with more installed capacity than any other country. It has built a large number of wind farms and continues to expand its renewable energy production. At the Davos meeting, this point was raised in front of global leaders and business figures. After the speech, he returned home on Air Force One, while the discussion about his statement continued among observers and analysts.
And he's hated windmills forever, ever since 2012, when they hurt the thing Trump loves the most. No, not that. Not that either. I'm talking about his golf courses.
The focus of his outrage, a proposed wind farm off the coast and in eyesight of Trump's
Desi Lydic took a different approach in this segment. Instead of treating each statement separately, she organized the timeline in order, starting from Scotland in 2006 and moving all the way to Davos in 2026. This helped the audience see how a small issue about a golf course view slowly grew into a repeated talking point in political discussions over many years. She showed how the topic kept returning in different speeches and events, connecting each moment into one continuous story. Then she made a simple observation that tied everything together. She pointed out that the repeated focus on wind turbines became part of a larger pattern, especially during public appearances. The segment highlighted how certain themes can reappear over time and become widely recognized when they are mentioned again and again in speeches and media coverage. Wind is shown in the segment as something that cannot be controlled, ignored, or managed through speeches or public statements. It is always present during outdoor events, whether at press briefings, travel moments, or rallies, and it behaves in its own natural way without responding to anyone. The narration highlights how unpredictable weather can sometimes become noticeable during public appearances, creating brief moments that people recognize instantly. These small situations often draw attention because they happen in real time and cannot be planned or adjusted. The idea is then extended to wind turbines, which continue to spin steadily in open areas, especially in places like the Scottish coast. The comparison suggests that both natural wind and large energy structures operate independently, following natural forces rather than human control.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the question. Deliberate attacks on civilian infrastructure violate the Geneva Conventions and international law.
Who are you with?
I'm with the New York Times. Zolan from the New York Times. Are you
failing?
Are you concerned?
Circulation way down at the New York Times.
Are
What's
you
going on
concerned
with
that your threat to bomb power plants and bridges amount to
No,
war
not
crimes?
at all.
This part of the segment becomes especially interesting because it shows how the discussion continued outside the show as well. While Desi Lydic was presenting the timeline on The Daily Show, journalists were also looking into the same statements in real time. Reporters have been tracking comments about wind turbines for years, often by comparing public speeches with earlier transcripts. At press briefings, they sometimes ask follow-up questions based on previous remarks. In some cases, the responses do not fully match what was recorded earlier, which leads to further fact-checking. All of this information is already available through public clips and official records, which journalists regularly use to prepare before events. Because of that, many reporters now arrive with documentation ready, expecting similar claims to come up again. They aim to present both the original statement and the response so audiences can see the full context in one place.
Good, Harry. What's your name again? John Miller. What is your position? Well, I'm sort of handling PR because you get so much of it.
On this tape, the person on it talks about his dating exploits, goes on about his divorce, things like that. I guess the simple question this morning, are you aware of the tape? Is it you?
No, I don't think it, I don't know anything about it. You're telling me about it for the first time, and it doesn't sound like my voice at all. I have many, many people that are trying to imitate my voice, and you can imagine that. And this sounds like one of the scams, one of the many scams. Doesn't sound like me.
The Post says that you acknowledged a couple decades ago that, in fact, that was you, but it was a joke.
I don't think it was me. It doesn't sound like me. I don't know even what they're talking about.
Desi Lydic pointed out that when evidence or past statements are shown, the response often follows a repeating pattern. According to her explanation, the process usually begins with a strong claim. If people question it, the claim is repeated with more confidence. When pressure increases, the topic is often shifted to something else. If questioning continues, the discussion may be cut short or ended. She also referred to an unrelated incident where a news anchor challenged a recorded audio clip. Even when the recording was discussed in detail, the response was to reject its authenticity, and the conversation ended abruptly. This example was used to show a similar style of handling questions in different situations. The segment suggested that this approach appears in multiple public moments, including discussions about wind energy. The focus was not only on the statements themselves, but also on the pattern of how they are addressed when questioned or reviewed.
It's not the first time the president has gone after wind energy. Earlier this year, the president also claimed that noise from those wind turbines causes cancer. Fact-checked. It doesn't. Donna, we talked about facts. We quoted that woman today from Michigan. The facts don't matter. This president is Professor Erwin Corey, the world's greatest authority now on birds, on wind energy, how cancer is caused. And don't people say we don't need wacky?
Well, you know, in some other universe, we'd be laughing at this guy. This is really not funny. He's in front of a group of young people basically just making stuff up. And what he said there was completely made up. There was not a single bit of scientific or fact-based evidence behind what he did.
Over time, some experts began addressing these statements more directly and in very clear language. On MSNBC, after a repeated claim about health risks was mentioned several times, a commentator looked into the camera and explained that the president was not referring to verified research or data, but instead presenting unconfirmed information as fact. The point was made in a straightforward way to remove any confusion. The segment also highlighted how some of these ideas were introduced in public speeches, where phrases were repeated without clear sources. In one example, a claim was shared at an event and presented as something heard from others, rather than a confirmed study. Desi Lydic's analysis focused on this pattern of repeating unverified statements in public settings. The discussion suggested how personal opinions or unclear information can be presented as certainty when spoken to large audiences, especially when repeated across different platforms over time.
Europe, we will not allow a windmill to be built in the United States. They're killing us. They're killing the beauty of our scenery, our valleys, our beautiful plains, and I'm not talking about airplanes, I'm talking about beautiful plains, beautiful areas in the United States, and you look up and you see windmills all over the place. It's a horrible thing. It's the most expensive form of energy. It's no good. They're made in China. almost all of them. When they start to rust and rot in 8 years, you can't really turn them off. You can't bury them. They won't let you bury the propellers, you know, the props, because they're a certain type of fiber that doesn't go well with the land. That's what they.
In 2025, Donald Trump visited Scotland again and returned to his golf course, the same property he purchased in 2006. This location had been part of a long-running public discussion for many years. While standing there, he looked toward the offshore wind turbines that were built in the nearby waters and shared his personal opinion about their appearance, describing them in strong terms. Despite legal efforts over time, including court cases and appeals, the project was not stopped. The wind farm was completed, and the turbines continue to operate along the coast, visible from the course. Even after many years, the disagreement over the view remains part of the story. The landscape has stayed the same, and the structures are still in place. The segment suggests that the topic continues to attract attention, showing how certain issues can remain in public discussion long after decisions have been finalized.
Rest of the world embraces alternative forms of energy, America is falling behind. And if that makes you feel powerless and stressed out, remember, no matter what Trump is doing to the country, you always have the power to take a beat and center yourself.
Desi Lydic wrapped up the segment by bringing together the full timeline, from Scotland to later political events, media coverage, and public reactions. After going through each part step by step, she explained why the topic had been followed for so long and why it kept returning in discussions. She suggested that the issue was not only about policy or economics, but also about personal frustration with something that could not be controlled or changed. According to her framing, the focus on wind energy became a symbol of that ongoing tension rather than just a technical debate. The segment also pointed out that the wind turbines remain in place and continue operating as planned, regardless of past objections or legal challenges. In the end, the message emphasized how certain public debates continue over time, even when the original decisions have already been made and nothing physically changes in the real world.